Okay.
I'd like to note, I invited Dane County Sheriff Kalvin Barrett to this meeting. The police responded to an event that I held at the town hall, a rental. On June 30th, there was some concern with the town members that were attending that the police were called to this event, and so I invited him to discuss and speak to both the board and the members of the public to contextualize, what they do for response to calls and the duties and obligations of the Dane County Sheriff's Department. So, Sheriff Barrett, if you'd like to speak.
Yeah, good evening, Sheriff Kalvin Barrett. Again, thank you. I was invited to come here to talk about our role, especially when 911 is called, our response, the response specifically to the night of the incident in question, which had 2 squad cars and 3 deputies, but also talk about the use of 911 and the specific use of that and the limited resources we have to cover all areas of the county with the deputies that we have. Speaking specifically about the incident, when someone calls 911, we respond. We arrive on scene and assess and determine whether or not it's an emergency or not. But when someone calls 911, they expect us to come. That's what we do. There's not always law enforcement action taken, but we do arrive on scene, and that's our role and responsibility here is to make sure people are safe. Now, the use of 911 should only be used in the case of an emergency. As the sheriff, I'm not going to define what an emergency is to each and every one of you. That is something that's left up for the individual that's calling. If they feel it's an emergency or a response from law enforcement, please, I encourage everyone to call us and contact us. The night of the gathering that was happening here, we did send 2 deputies, which is typical. Our squad cars only have 1 deputy assigned in each squad car for efficiency. There was a time when we used to go 2 to a car, but for efficiency purposes, we now limited that down to 1. There were 3 deputies there on scene that day due to one of the deputies was a training officer. Our FTO, or field training officer, has a deputy that's in training, and that's why they were there. They were the 3rd deputy that was there, so technically per our scheduling, it was 2 deputies, but it looks in the perception of it was that there were 3. The use of 911, again, we will respond and know that our resources are very limited. We have large areas that we cover, so when we do respond to a call, we take it seriously and we do a thorough investigation. But no, we have 1,200 square miles to cover. We have over 22 towns and villages and cities that we provide support to, so that when we respond to a call, especially with 2 deputies, it takes resources away from someplace else. So please use 911 with your best judgment for any sort of issue you feel is an emergency. I'm willing to answer any questions or about anything if there are some that are available.
You say 911. Do you know who called it in?
Do I know? I believe so, yes. Every time someone calls 911, we not only get the phone number.
Did they actually call 911 or did they
when
call
they get non-emergency? When someone calls 911, we typically get, or either the non-emergency number, we get their name, we get the phone number they called from, and we get their latitude and longitude. That's why when there's a 911 hang-up, we know exactly where to go to because that lots. So whether it's 911 or non-emergency, it's still our 911 dispatch center.
So you're saying this was not an emergency 911? It wasn't an emergency to where 911 should have been used?
Well, there was 911 or non-emergency. There was the caller felt that there was an issue that needed to be handled by law enforcement. We responded, arrived on scene, and assessed that there was not any response or any need for law enforcement to be there. But that took place after our deputies arrived on scene and assessed the situation.
So you don't know if it was a non-emergency number called or the 911?
Yeah, we know. It could have been. Were you the caller, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
They called you non-emergency number.
Okay. Now we know it's a non-emergency number.
So it wasn't viewed as a real emergency, a 911 emergency?
When law enforcement shows up, for the most part, it's a reason for a response.
Well, I see that.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't a 911 call,
We were dispatched to the call. When the police arrive, we don't come to cupcake parties. Right?
Yeah.
We come to calls that need some sort of, and that can range from an active threat to a fire, all the way down to a cat stuck in a tree or someone that's fallen and gotten out. We handle all of those and we respond to all of those, and we will not turn those away. That's why it's important when 911 or the non-emergency number is called and we're dispatched that it's an appropriate use of it.
Question for you also. The county passed a sanctuary county ordinance, whatever you want to call it. So how does that affect your department?
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I just put the issue was? Yeah, they were comfortable.
Well, the 911 call is right there, so he can be able to provide why he called, and then I can provide the insight in regards to what our deputies responded to and what they did. So please provide your insights.
I received some complaints about somebody planting flags at the town hall.
Can you tell me what those flags were?
I have no idea. They didn't say anything, just they're planting flags.
So you didn't see the flags?
No.
being placed?
I wasn't even here.
Okay.
So I just called your non-emergency number, asked them to check it out, and which they did. The officer called me back and stated there was no problem and case closed. And that's all we asked. And I contacted the people that complained to me Saturday morning, let them know that it was fine. So case closed.
Did you have any questions in regards to our deputy response?
They just confirmed that there was no emergency and left, right?
Right, there was no emergency, there was no violation of anything that's enforceable, and then we immediately cleared and left the area.
Anything further? Any other public comments?
I joined the meeting, I came later after this call, and I'm from town across Plains, right on the border of Barrett.
Can you state your name for us?
Yep, Penny Klein, 20 years here, built my farm and property, I have a small diversified farm on 14, and I came just to see how the meeting was. I'm a lifelong Dane County resident, and people were, visibly upset at the, enforcement is scary to some people. They're not used to it, and if you're not involved in criminal activities and things, it's kind of, upsetting. And people were upset, and they had a nice group of people coming to get to know each other and welcome each other to these communities. And I just felt that, some people were very upset. I didn't see, it was certainly not an emergency situation. Maybe if there was an issue with what type of flag or who put them in and when, it could have been handled maybe, through the non-emergency or other.
Which is what was happening.
Yes.
I called the non-emergency
What
number.
part of that don't you get?
I called the non-emergency number.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Doolin, Village of Cross Plains, Dane County Board Supervisor. Actually, public records show that it was a 911 call.
It may show it's a 911 call, but I'm sorry. I called 255-2345.
Okay? So did you not know about the meeting that was being held here?
No, ma'am.
So as town chair, you weren't informed of the meeting that was held here.
The meeting was held here, yes. Okay, let me state something. I was informed of the meeting back when you were gonna, when did you announce it to us?
Email was sent on June 21st.
I don't have email.
I also CC'd Brenda, and she confirmed that she showed you the email.
Yeah, she did show me the email. That was the 21st. When did you have your
The 30th.
30th? Sorry. What?
Sorry.
It wasn't.
You know that the police have to come, whether it's a non-emergency call or a 911 call. That's a gross abuse of the system.
It's usually
These officers were not able at that time to respond to a true emergency. A fire, an accident, someone with a heart attack. They were here.
And your name is?
My name is Susan Felsen.
And
My
where do you
family,
live? Where do you live?
I live in Prairie du Sac. My family has lived in the town of Barrett. Myself and the rest of my family for 46 37 years. And this is just an abomination.
So you suggest if we have somebody stealing something or breaking in down here, we don't need to call the sheriff's office?
What? So Martians land on the village? What are you talking about? Do not try to make this into something that it wasn't.
That's what we say.
It's bigotry, period.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe you're,
And that's your feelings?
no, it is bigotry.
Anything further?
I'd just like to say, if I was one of the young people that came that was 20 to 30 years old and just coming out in my community as a gay or trans person, that seeing the law enforcement people here having an issue with our pride flag during Pride Month or for a Pride Month activity to welcome people to the community was not welcoming. It was scary, and it was, for those that might not have been out in their community, could easily have led to a situation in the community where they were outed and they could be thrown out of their homes. They could have family issues because of it. You know, it just was not, to me, very welcoming.
And it was disrespectful to the coworkers.
To me, it sounds like it wasn't communicated properly to begin with. If everybody would know what was going on, it wouldn't have been an issue. If people would drive by and see a little gathering over here, what's going on? We all know that things happen in the county.
But aren't we allowed to reserve or have an event at our,
Well, that's what I'm-
at our pavilion here?
That's what I'm saying. Just make sure that it's announced properly and
Well, the question is-
about it, and that way it's not an issue.
The question is, this is Phil Richards, I'm just down the road here. The question is more is, do you want the town to have police what the meetings are, so they know ahead what's going on? Or, I mean, their defense is that, I mean, they don't pay attention to what's going on at every show. They rent the hall off, and that's how it is. And if they got the police, what you want them, the police, to know what everything is going on every moment, I mean, that's kind of censorship too, so. I mean, people are just trying to, I don't know who drove by, called, or whatever it was, but you gotta understand where the board is here. They're on the fence here, and they're the ones who are gonna get the pride here, so, you know, if right or wrong, what they did is wrong, maybe you're right, or maybe it's right, I don't know. They're just calling a complaint in, what got called in, if it got called in on 911, or if it's called in on the non-emergency number, you assume they're gonna come out eventually, but.
All I do is ask the police to come out and investigate.
Can the Dane County Sheriff enforce town ordinances?
No.
And so the flag issue is possibly a violation of a town ordinance, and you call the police, the Dane County Sheriff, who couldn't enforce the town ordinance.
As far as, all was related to me was somebody was planting flags in the yard. That's what was relayed to me. I was in the middle of something else, and it was Friday night. By the way, I was in the shop until 10:30 that night, getting stuff done. So where this event was on my priority list, it was totally forgotten days earlier, so. Sorry.
There is no town ordinance forbidding people who rent the hall from posting signs or flags.
Correct.
So I might as well speak up now since this is being discussed during public comment period. I just find this behavior unacceptable for the position of town chair. I have the audio recording of via my public records request. In the recording, you invoke your authority as town chair to send the police here.
Correct.
And you as town chair should know that there's nothing against planting flags for rentals in the town lawn.
Sorry, I don't know all our ordinances verbatim.
You just, on June 19th, had both passed an ordinance about flying flags on the flagpole as an official sentiment of the town,
Correct.
and also had revised the town hall rental policy. So the rental policy that governs when you're renting the town hall was in your immediate knowledge because you had just voted on a new draft of it.
Sorry.
Maybe we should consider if you have to mention that you aren't fit to be town chair. If you can't remember something from June 19th to June 30th, that's a little concerning.
Travis, what do you want? What do y'all want? Duane has apologized. I think on behalf of the whole board, we can apologize. We're sorry. What else do you want?
I think the town board needs a code of ethics, and they need a code of conduct. And every member needs to sign that. And as of my knowledge, you do not have those documents currently. And I think that then there will be a framework for dealing with this kind of situation, no matter who does it.
Because
An elected official needs to be signing those kinds of documents.
Thank you. I appreciate your comment. Go ahead, Jeremy.
And quite frankly, he should have known. I had notified the entire town board by email, and I knew that he did not have an email listed, so I CC'd Brenda, and she confirmed that she made him aware. Right? I also find it unacceptable that our town chair doesn't have an email to be reached at.
Okay, you apologize. What more do you want? And I know you find it appalling and upsetting and everything else. I didn't actually know it either. I didn't look at my email, so.
I'd also posted posters in over 70 local area businesses in Mazo, Cross Plains, Black Earth, Sauk Prairie,
Wonderful.
Roxbury, and also Middleton.
Wonderful. What do you want?
I think I agree with my aunt here speaking as well, who was at the event and saw the police show up. She was actually the first one that noticed the police before me, and that we need a code of conduct. The fact that Duane did not bother to call Brenda to confirm if there was a rental at the town hall prior to calling the police, or simply just take a second out of his day to drive 2 minutes down the road and come see it himself.
Some of us do work.
Well, he's also the town chair, which is also a massively important position.
Everywhere, man.
So just so you know, Mr. Longston,
All have full-time jobs.
I work in my shop. As a matter of fact, when the complaints came in, I had just gotten back to the shop. And by the way, the deputy that responded and called me back, if he'd called me back 30 seconds later, he'd have missed me too. I was just out the door already, taking the truck back. So, I can't be everywhere, and I can't do everything. Sorry. And I can't remember everything, every little detail.
I think if you had an email, you'd be able to actually have it in a record for yourself to remember.
Take what you want you to do. You spend the $650,000 that it takes to put boxing down there at K&19, and TDS will gladly give me internet. So,
We'll move on.
yes. Any other public comments? Hearing none. Okay. Patrolman report.